right. Good evening, everybody. Let's do a brief audio and visual check. Going through here. Looks good. Sounds good so far. Give me a minute while I get a few things set up on my end and I let you guys answer. So let's get started. Man, what a weekend. How's everyone's weekend? It's already Sunday night, already the new trading week. Gold smoking already. Camera's looking better. Thanks, Hoop. Pull back on gold. Gold looks like it's moving. We could watch gold for just a moment. Yeah, we've been seeing some volatility in gold. Caught 200 ticks on gold. Asian, yeah, the Asian session is showing some volatility tonight. Back from a vacation. Had a good weekend. Had a good new week for everybody. Do anything fun? Anything crazy happen this weekend? That's probably the better question. You had a good sleep, ready for the week? Lost 600 tonight. I need a refresher from the bad price action. My birthday's tomorrow, though. Oh, it's birthday's tomorrow. Third payout from golf. That's big. I heard this is the micro Bitcoin channel. We talk about some Bitcoin during slow markets a little more often now. Used to never. I'm not a Bitcoin trader, but I have been talking about it a little bit. Yeah, Bitcoin is holding above 100K. We'll have to watch that tonight as well. So anyway, let's get started. As always, welcome everybody to Slow Markets. In the YouTube chat, there is the Topstep risk disclosure. Remember, everybody, this is for education. It's not a signals class. So whenever you place a trade, whenever I place a trade, it's for educational purposes only. We all know that, understand it. Let's get to it. It's a fresh new week. I'm going to start with the regular rapid fire where I go over the NASDAQ, crude oil, Nikkei, gold. We could talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been a fun topic, obviously, with the volatility that it has shown and the popularity that it is, right? Or it has. So here's the daily NASDAQ. Not much, to be honest, has really changed here on the NASDAQ. We're still in a bullish market, and it's still, bullish. Nothing really has changed other than, we've continued to make all-time highs Friday. We are kind of just sitting sideline, kind of flat to start the night, and we're still at all-time highs, 21,650s. I did trade Friday. I took a loss on Friday. I only had one trade on Friday too, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't too crazy. Just one trade. Took forever. Market was a little bit choppy. I was looking for more of a consolidation rather than anything other than a breakout. We did break out to end Friday and then pulled back a little bit, right back to where I was entering, right on these lower 600s. And here we are again. Nothing's changed. It's bullish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days in a row. We had one consolidation on Thursday. Friday we continue and we take a look at the news. If you guys missed it, Nick for a Tick was on earlier. Great. Always seeing him and seeing what he thinks and all that. So yeah, what news do we have this week? Let's take a look. Remember, I'm looking at everything. I see everything just like everybody else. The start of my new trading is right here, right now. So let's take a look and see what news we have. Today, it's not so much. You guys could see there was some Chinese PPI and Chinese CPI. We don't really have much for tomorrow. Here in the U.S., we have OPEC. That's going to be bringing some movement into crude oil. And I'm just going through the news. Nothing until Wednesday, really. Nothing until Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be a big one, December 11th, where we'll have the U.S. CPI and core CPI, which I think that's going to be the day to be trading is going to be Wednesday. We see a lot of volatility. But remember, anything can happen. And of course, the following day, Thursday, we have PPI, which is another big one, CPI, PPI, And then Friday seems to be a little bit more calm. And yeah, I think Wednesday and Thursday is going to be the big days this week. Taking a look at the NASDAQ again, let's zoom back into an hourly chart. Let's go through hourly chart. I mean, it is kind of simple and straightforward, right? If we look at the hourly chart, and if I zoom in, I could talk over that trade I took Friday, where we had that nice rally. And if you guys were with me Thursday night, remember what I was kind of referring to was this type of a market structure, right? Where we said, we had a rally, we had a pullback, and sure enough, guess what? Thursday night was that. This is exactly what I was looking for, where we're saying, hey, there's a 3-bar reversal, and we could very well look to see continuation. Well, we did get that continuation, and we did get that nice move up throughout it looks like early New York session, late the London session. And then when the New York session opened, we did rally. We got all the way up here to these upper 600s. And this was the consolidation. I was short. I was looking for the market to maybe return back up into these, lower to these 550s. I was up 40 points, and it didn't really give me an opportunity to close it out. I was trying to pull the trigger to close and take profit. I was a little bit slow on this pullback on my short Friday morning, and it just ripped straight up. And then for the rest of the day, we just barcoded. There's a lot of consolidation for the most of Friday. And so I think tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar. All-time highs sitting there around 675s, 670s, and we're consolidating. We are holding. We're not having any big pullback. We are holding some type of support. We'll probably be able to see this a lot better when we start to zoom in. And yeah, sometimes it's pretty tough trading all-time highs outside of just buying it, right? So if we zoom into a 5-minute chart, you guys can kind of see we are holding, the buyers are holding higher lows, right? Higher lows, higher highs, and we're kind of consolidation, maybe a bullish flag. Some traders would probably take a look and see this, but here it is, Sunday night open. Looks like we gapped up, we pulled back, we filled the gap. There's no gaps here in the NASDAQ. And we did have a little bit of a rally. It looks like we did break new all-time highs tonight, where just by a point, an all-time high is an all-time high. Okay, whether it's a point or a tick. I mean, it is what it is. It's either an all-time high or it's not. That's an all-time high. And then we came back down, and guess what? We came and we tested the bottom to where we opened, and we pulled back. So we've tested both sides already. We tested the all-time highs, failed to break and have continuation tonight, and we came down and tested the lows and failed to break and have a pullback. So we're right in the middle. We're in the middle of this consolidation. It's a bit of a mess. So I'm going to pass on the NASDAQ. There's not really much to do. The way that I'm looking at it is we either just, we're in the middle. So there's nothing really to do. Let's just, to be honest, wait to see what happens. Are we going to continue to push all-time highs, or are we going to get some type of a pullback? Okay, moving on. Let's take a look. I want to take a look at Nikkei. Nikkei has been moving, and I think we see it here again with this is the Nikkei, the Japanese market. So we're seeing this again. This is something simple and straightforward. Looks like I might have missed a trade tonight, where I've been talking about this. It's almost 2 weeks now, right? Where this nice level of support, I had that nice trade Wednesday, Tuesday of last week. We came back down there. Guess what? That could have been a really good opportunity again. And now here we are tonight. It looks like we went right down, tested this same level, right? I mean, it's a zone. It's not perfect. It's a zone. There were some buyers here. That's where I had the trade Tuesday. This was the other night, which would have been a great opportunity. And we did come in here again. And, there was another decent buying opportunity. It looks like the start of Sunday, we've started to see some volatility. We've seen a lot of volatility, actually. So we went up, a half, 0.4%, sold off down, 0.75%. And now we are, starting to rally here in the Nikkei about 0.75%. So we are seeing some volatility here in the Nikkei. We're right in the middle. So it's the same thing. Maybe there was an opportunity to buy it down here somewhere, but the opportunity has passed. I see that there could have been a nice reversal opportunity to buy it down here near the lows, very similar like that's been happening the last few times we've been in this zone. But the opportunity's there. It's came, it's gone. We're right now in the middle. I don't want to mess around when the market is right in the middle of the range, similar to the NASDAQ. Now, let's keep moving on. Let's take a look at gold. We'll do gold. We'll do crude oil. We'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin, then we'll answer some fun questions. We'll answer the questions. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that everybody has. It is Sunday night, so it's a shortened class. It's Sunday. Weekend should be spent for family, resting, and not thinking about the market sometimes. That's why I've shortened it up. I don't want to take everyone's time, especially my own time, right? Now, let's take a look at gold. I'm going to look at the hourly chart first. And it doesn't look like my camera is fully fixed. Dang it. I don't know. Maybe the red shirt's not helping either. But anyway, here's gold. Let's take a look at a higher time frame. We're on the 1 hour chart. Nothing's really changed in gold, everybody, the way that I'm seeing it. I mean, look at this. Daily chart. Nothing has changed. Nothing. Range bound market. If you're a range trader like Dobie, this is a good market to be trading. You simply buy the highs, sell the lows, or yeah, that's not how you do it. You buy the lows, sell the highs. Yeah, the opposite of that. Do the opposite. You want to sell the highs and buy the lows of a range-bound market. But that's been the story sometimes, is where we're buying highs and selling lows, thinking it's going to break out, and then it reverses. Oh man, that's the story of most of the people here who's been through that. I've been there. That's how it felt like half the time as traders, right? We're selling the lows and buying the highs. But yeah, range bound. No, I don't see this market changing anytime soon unless we get some news or something to push it out. I mean, we're right in the middle. If we're looking at this as the range, right? We've had this nice rally, this big sell-off, and now we're just consolidating in the middle. It's not funny. Stop laughing. It is, because we've been there. We've all been there. So all you could do is laugh, because we all know the feeling. We all know the feeling. If you've traded for more than a week, you know the feeling. It only maybe even a day, like the first day of your trading journey, you've probably felt that feeling of exactly that. And so range bound market, maybe looking for this to continue. Obviously, it's in a range bound market until we're not. How do we know when we're not in a range bound market? Well, there's so many different ways, each their own. What I like to do to determine when's a break of a range-bound market, I kind of try and figure out where the support and resistance is. Anything in between that, try not to trade. I try not to trade. And then I like to wait for the breakout, and then maybe we can get a pullback. Then I'll look to enter. I look to buy the pullback after the breakout, looking for the continuation. So it's really hard for me anyway to try and time the breakout and then get in on the breakout. I like to wait for the breakout, then get into wait for the pullback and get in on the pullback and see if we could get continuation. So this is something I'm looking for here in gold. But gold has been, anticlimactic the past 2 weeks, to say the least. Not much movement. And you can probably see that on the 1 hour chart, because that's been a mess, right? 1 hour chart, very, very choppy, very, very hard to trade. So I'm going to pass that on gold. Let's take a look at crude oil, and then we'll get to some questions. Let's take a look at crude. Essentially, you could say the same thing about crude oil too, right? Where it's been really choppy if we look at the daily chart. However, we are starting to see crude oil with OPEC tomorrow. We're seeing crude oil put in a very solid support. And this is interesting, where we're making lower highs. So the highs are getting lower and lower, but the lows are pretty close to equal. Some can see this and look at this as bearish, whereas if we do start to break down, then maybe we can start targeting these lower areas around 60s. If we zoom into an hourly chart, you can see it a little bit more clear, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a little bit more clear. You see there's these lows that we've been testing. And so this is a pattern, and this is a tough pattern to trade, where you can either buy the low, sell the high, or you wait for the break of this pattern, where maybe we look for a breakdown below, and that could be a trade, right? A breakdown and trade for a continuation down, maybe looking for these 64s or even lower, or just patience, wait, see if we could break through these highs, and very much like I was talking about gold, wait for maybe even a pullback, and then look for the continuation and have crude oil present us for more opportunity. But as of now, crude and gold, not worth much time and energy until it starts to have better price action. Yeah, we see Nikkei moving up. We'll take a look at the NASDAQ, and then last but not least, Bitcoin. We've got some price action for Bitcoin, huh? Let's take a look at the hourly chart. Yeah, this is interesting. We made that high on Wednesday with Coach Jay and I think maybe we could see something like this come into play, and maybe we do get some type of flagging pattern consolidation. We are holding above 100,000 on the futures, but that doesn't really mean much, right? Futures, does that mean much? I don't know. I don't trade Bitcoin that often. What's the spot at? The spot's probably below 100K, right? Let's see. The spot is at 99,500. So, yes, it does sell the break of 100K. I don't know. I think here's my prediction, everybody. This is my prediction with Bitcoin right now, based off of my experience, is we are right around one of the major psychological numbers, and that's 100,000. 100,000, regardless of whether it's spot or futures. This 100,000 level is huge. It's a huge milestone. And so whenever we get around big psychological numbers like this, we tend to consolidate. So it doesn't really matter what market it is. Even if I don't trade this market, or even if I don't trade Bitcoin, a market is a market. Big round psychological numbers typically tend to consolidate. And I think we've seen it, right? In the futures market, we touched 100,000 back on the 21st of November. And then we touched it again on the 29th, and then we broke through it and held for a little bit on the 4th and the 5th, and now here we are again on the 6th, and I would not be surprised if we see more consolidation around $100,000. Regular pressures and ending. I mean, to be honest, if there's a news event, sure, but you could look back in the history of any market ever traded, ever made. Big round psychological numbers. They're psychological numbers for a reason. Humans like to buy and sell around psychological numbers. It does not matter what instrument it is. This thing maybe it consolidates for another day, and then it just breaks through to 125,000. Maybe it consolidates for another week and then breaks out. But typically, big psychological numbers, we tend to consolidate. So my guess with this Bitcoin is that we consolidate around 100,000 for a little bit longer. Whether that's a week, 2 weeks, I'm not sure. I'm expecting more consolidation here in Bitcoin. So it's it's a tough market if you're going to be a trader. I mean, especially if you're going to be trading, looking for it to break out. Maybe there's a reason to buy and hold long term, like everyone's been doing, and everyone's been doing for Bitcoin is buying and holding. Now, anyway, back to these markets. NASDAQ. Let's talk about the markets. Yeah, NASDAQ's not really doing much. Not much at all. Not much opportunities tonight. I'm going to pull up the NASDAQ and we'll take a look at the Nikkei as well. Let's see. Where is the Nikkei? I'm going to watch both. I'm going to watch the NASDAQ. We can watch the Nikkei. And if you guys see any other markets, let me know. It is Slow Markets. That's the name of the show, right? So let's get some of these questions. What is recommended contract size to enter for a 50K combine? Typically, the smaller the better. I mean, I would recommend one micro till you feel confident, and then you could work and scale up. Let's see here. Dakota, do you journal? Yes, I do. I don't journal as often as I used to, but yes, journaling is very, very important for newer traders. If you're learning to trade, if you're a beginner as well, or even if you've traded for a while. I still journal sometimes. I actually use YouTube as my journal during my trading. If I have a bad day like Friday, I'll go back, I'll review it, I'll make some notes on it, and yeah, simple and easy on my end. Could you check the Dow Jones? What are we doing with the Dow? Let's see if I can check on this. The Dow Jones is pulling back a little bit, right? Does that mean the NASDAQ's going to follow? We're getting some consolidation. We are at the lows. I'm not a Dow Jones trader, but like I said, price action is price action. A market is a market. This is consolidation. I would, if I trade the Dow Jones, I mean, maybe there's an opportunity for us to rotate back up to these highs. But there's still a lot of caution, right? Where we could fall and pull down, like break through this support and find, have a little bit of a pullback. I would not be surprised on that one. But I don't know. I don't trade the Dow Jones very much. There could be some type of a setup. See, I'm just connecting these lows, low, higher low. We have a high, higher, higher high. And then I'm looking at this and saying, is there a setup? Is there an opportunity? Maybe there's a possibility to get in long to see if we could get a rotation right back up to this 45,000 zone. Buy low, sell high in a consolidating market. So that's definitely a possibility. Dakota, I have an XFA account with a 3K. I tried trading one contract, put me in 14, then couldn't get out of the trade. So I did see. Now remember, I don't know all the details. I don't have access to the internals, but there are some reports with traders having issues with the platform. Topstep, I've never had issues with Topstep when it comes to them fixing things. Like for example, if I place a trade and it stopped me out and I got a loss, or if there's a delay or a bug or an issue, I've always had Topstep correct that for me. I've never had any issues. Of course, you're going to get traders who seen that there was issues and then try and take advantage of it if they've had a bad trade. But of course, I can't say because I'm not one to be able to give answers and to say, yes, Topstep's going to be doing this exact thing. From our experience, whenever there's has been any issues, it's been taken care of. So stay tuned. That's a good shout out for the Discord. The Discord community is always on top of it, where if you have any questions or if you're experiencing any of that, typically Discord, there's a, what's it called? A notification, or where is that channel at? I'm sure Andrew in the chat would be able to put the Discord link in there for the news. Like if there's an issue, then there's a status update that way. I know someone who gave a recording proof. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Status updates. There you go. Thank you, Andrew. Yep. Thank you. Nothing in the status. So I'll just watch that. So of course they take it. It is Sunday night. that is something to take into consideration, where if there is any question about issues, don't trade. Don't trade. It's not worth it, right? If I ever seen anything wrong with my platform, or even, and this includes my personal account, any of my personal accounts, Interactive Brokerage, I've had issues with it. We all know what happened when oil turned negative. Tasty Trade, every personal, Robinhood too. So if there's any chance that there's an issue, I just wait. I say, hey, I'm not going to trade. I'm going to take the rest of the night off. I'm going to go enjoy watching some football, go to the gym, go relax, and then move on. But if you feel confident to trade, just same reason why I put the risk disclosure there. That's way too much common sense. Trading's addicting, right? And no one wants to miss out on any trading opportunities, which is fair. And everyone always, expects everything to work perfectly, right? That's the tech world we live in. That's the tech world we live in. Sometimes my mouse dies. I made so much on crude negative settlement. Oh man, if only I could only imagine. I think there's a lot of traders that, there's this news story about when crude oil turned negative and they made millions off of it, something like that. So let me get a drink because my mouth is a bit dry, and then we'll get to some of these questions and move on to. We'll continue on. I'm not seeing anything else in terms of great trade opportunities. Prime missed half. There's a YouTube video about British people. Got a decent short. Why is mine working correctly? I just logged in. This is my live account. I'm not seeing any. Maybe try refreshing. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not tech. I don't know any of those details. Sometimes I get some issues. Oh yes, Quinn. Was there YouTube? I remember seeing it in the news. I'll have to look at that. How would I go about doing the analysis? So we could go over it a little bit more, but it's very hard right now in terms of. It's the Asian session. We are at all-time highs. Let's go through and do this. This is slow markets. How would I trade slow markets? How do I trade slow markets? So let's take into consideration there's not big news until Wednesday. So Wednesday and Thursday are going to be big movers. We're going into the Asian session right now. We're seeing consolidation. We have the London session that's open. Overnight trades. It's hard to place a breakout trade sometimes, especially in this type of consolidation. But the way I would trade, okay, now I'm not saying this is a setup. This is why I did the risk disclosure. But what I like to see is we're consolidating right here, okay? The trend is up. We are consolidating. One way is to put something like a buy stop. So a buy stop at these highs. So a stop buy. This is purely an example. So buy stop 1. So this is an example. And what this means is between now and tomorrow morning, if the market decides to break out, it's going to trigger me into a long. My stop loss would be the opposite end of this consolidation. And then I would need to look for about a 1-to-1 risk reward on my trade. This is very reasonable. This is something that I do consider, especially when we're pushing all-time highs and we're starting to see a lot more volatility. This is a fairly attractive trade to me. On a breakout trade overnight in the London session when we're pushing highs and we don't have any resistance, right? There's no resistance at all-time highs. The only thing and the only reason why I'm hesitant is because we've let me pull up the daily and I'll show you, because we're kind of extended, right? So I'm going to clear this and let me make sure everything's cleared. So the only reason I'm a little hesitant or more hesitant and why I'm not placing this trade is because of this move. Like we're kind of overbought. Now, overbought is relative depending on what time frame you're looking at and how you are as a trader, but this has been quite the move. I would rather like a decent pullback or more consolidation on a daily, and then I would look for those breakout trades. So to me and myself and I, this is an overbought market. Now, it depends on the time frame. It depends on what you're looking at and how you're looking at it. But when you have, five really nice days in a row, six, this is not in a row, but we haven't really had much consolidation or pullback for a while on the daily chart, because you could look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 days were red out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, we haven't had much pullback, right? And then if we take a look at in the past, in the history, when we've seen nice breakout trades or like something like that, we've had decent pullbacks on these bullish markets. And this is a daily, right? And so if we're looking at a strong trending market, sure, it's good play. If I'm going to leave a trade overnight, I want it to be in the direction of this trend. I really do. My overnight trade needs to be in the direction of this trend, because there's no reference of a resistance or a short. So it's hard to sell buy all-time highs, because you don't want to be a person say, I bought up here at all-time highs looking for it to go higher on a breakout trade, even though mentally it's hard, psychologically it's hard, but the truth is that's probably the right trade. The right trade is to buy a breakout and having a continuation over 700. That is the right trade. Breakout trade in the direction of the trend. It's psychologically hard, mentally hard. However you cut it, it's statistically the right trade. So that's probably the best trade of the night, is to buy a breakout. The other option is, if you take a look at the hourly chart, sometimes what I like to do is, I just lost my drawing tools. Oh well. Anyway, where did they go? Right there. There they are. So in a consolidation like this, now Adobe's a lot better than I am at this, is there you could place a buy limit at the bottom. For example, I'll put that there. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put a buy limit near the bottom of the consolidation. I would have my stop loss at somewhere lower. So for example, like say there's a pivot there. And then I'll have my take profit on the opposite side, right? So sometimes using limit orders, I can get better risk reward. I haven't been talking about this trading very often and very much, which I need to talk more about my overnight trades. I really do, because this is how I like to trade. So this is what I'm going to be talking about more. Hold me to it, please, everybody. But a lot more of overnight trade setups, to where this is my entry, a buy limit. Down here would be my stop loss. And then on the opposite end of this consolidation would be my take profit. Now, what this was saying would be, sometime between now and tomorrow morning, if the market does sell off, it would trigger me into a long. Then I'm looking for the market to just keep doing what it's doing and consolidate. I haven't talked very much about this because I haven't been taking a lot of these trades as of lately because of the market conditions. But yeah, I think going forward, I'm going to be talking more about some overnight trade setups. What does everybody in the chat think? Should maybe I already asked this before. Should I talk about more overnight trade setups? My fear is that people will take them and then either take them on their personal account, take them on their live account or XFA. And these is purely meant for educational. And the last thing I ever want is traders taking them and being sour about that. Yes, please. Cost of learning. I mean, there's a period where I was looking at some gold trades and I do this and I say, just like a teacher would do a math problem on the whiteboard, I try and do the same and talk about overnight trades. Okay, I'll try and do that. not to copy, but to learn the process. Okay, hold me to it, everybody. I will lean on the chat to hold me to talking more about these trades. Full port, no stop. Yeah. Do you think that taking overnight trades is what made you patient during fast markets? Segi, yes, 100%. And that's a good point. That's a good point, Segi. I think I'm saying your name right. Maybe I'm horrible with names, but correct. I will say that, and I absolutely love this aspect of overnight trading. And I say overnight is because I'm here in the U.S. You know, we have traders around the world. Topstep is an international company, and we have traders from all around the world. So it might be overnight for me. It might be throughout the day if you're in London, right? D trades the London session, and it depends on where you are at around the world. But yes, for me, I would say I'd place this trade. Let's just say this is an example, okay? This would be my entry at 6:30. My stop loss would be at 6:09 because there's the bottom of this pivot right there. This is a 1 hour chart. And let's walk through this. And I can answer questions as I go through this. And then up at the top of the range would be my take profit. So this is how I would set the trade up. Next, I would zoom into a 5-minute chart, so a smaller time frame. And I'll just make sure, is this the trade I want? Look, if we do sell off, I'd like to buy this. And actually, you know what? No, this isn't the trade I want. I would actually prefer something like this. Okay, so maybe something like this. Looking for the market to break down. Maybe we could run for some liquidity during the London session and then rally. So maybe you could even look for something like that and say, hey, I'm going to leave a bit more room for my stop loss. It's still about a good 1-to-1 risk reward. And so there's so many ways you could go about this. But the idea is that placing a trade based off of technical analysis, I do this quite often. And then, I'll go to sleep. And between now and tomorrow, if the market just goes straight up, I don't get triggered in, and I'm not triggered into a long and nothing happens. But overnight, if the market does start to sell off, it triggers me into a long, and then I wake up and the market's done either one of three things, right? The market's either continued down, I stopped out, my risk is measured, and I know what my risk is, or it's went sideways and I'm somewhere in between and I'm still in a long trade, and when I wake up in the morning, I can manage it. Or the market's rallied back up and it's hit my take profit. And so, yes, back to that question is, trading like this has allowed me to be more patient, knowing to trust my process, right? Process over profits. I know how to set up a trade. I know what the worst case scenario is. I don't have to watch the markets and watch every little tick and every movement in the market and allow my emotions to dictate or self-sabotage my trade. And being able to do this has allowed me to carry this same mindset into the New York session. And so when I place a trade in the New York session, like Friday, right? Everybody can rewatch Friday morning. I place the trade and I just let it play out, saying, if what's the worst thing that could happen? It will either hit my stop loss, consolidate sideways, or rally up and hit my take profit. There's not much I can personally do to affect the market. The market's going to do whatever it wants. I must understand my personal process. I must understand how I'm getting into these markets, why I'm putting my take profit and my stop loss, and knowing that based off of my statistics, I will have a positive expectancy. And knowing that I have a positive expectancy, I'm not going to be doing any of that. I don't have to stress. And if I lose, I could send my application to Home Depot, like Peter Tuchman said. I haven't heard back from them, 27. My application's still pending, unfortunately. I'm probably in the back of the line. So many people's already There's probably a huge stack of applications at Home Depot because of last week's price action. Are they hiring? I mean, I don't know. They're overloaded. I mean, well, you have people like Peter Tuchman sending everybody there, saying if you can't trade, you might as well send your application into Home Depot if you haven't been able to make money this year. And he's coming from the idea of buy and hold, right? He's a perma bull. This year has been just up and up and up. Buy anywhere this year, it seems like you would have made money, and so it's funny. CL setting up. Am I delusional or were you short on Friday? How could it rally up and hit your take profit? This was a trade that I was just setting up for tonight. Friday, if you guys want to know my Friday trade, this was my Friday trade. So Friday, you guys remember, and I reviewed this over the weekend, and yeah, it's one of those shoulda, coulda, woulda trades. This was the reversal I set my trade off of. This 3-bar reversal. I was looking at taking this one. I didn't. We didn't really get a great 3-bar reversal here. I ended up taking this one. I got in short 5 contracts at 621. So this is where I was short. Okay, so right there. That was my short. Everyone, you guys could watch the recording Friday. 621, somewhere right there, 621. And my take profit, where I was looking to take profit, was going to be right around like 550, 560. This was a zone. So this was the zone. I'm going to put that zone right there as my take profit. And my stop loss I had at 648. This was my stop loss. So, correct? Yep, this was the trade setup I had on Friday. And everybody's seen it. You know, I got triggered in. And we consolidated. We came all the way down. We tested 600 one time. We went right back up. However, it came so close to my take profit. And I was in 5 contracts, so I was perfectly fine with taking a couple contracts off. While the market sold off, by the time I moved my mouse was right here. By the time I moved my mouse all the way down to join bid to close some for take profit, the market already bounced 30 points. And so that was a little bit frustrating. So if we look at this on the 1-minute chart, you can see how fast that happened. I got in short right here. So this was my short entry. And we just consolidated. It came up. Oh, it's going to stop me out? Nope. Oh, it's going to stop me out. It came in within like 1 tick a couple times. And then we sold all the way off, and then we rallied back up. It came within our stop loss, and then this move happened really fast. By the time I moved my stop loss over, or my mouse over to close a couple contracts off, sure enough, we immediately rallied right back up. I'm like, well, dang. And then sure enough, throughout the New York session, we went up. It came within a couple ticks of our, I did move my stop loss back down. I moved my stop loss down. I think it was 39. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But it was within a couple ticks. And then sure enough, it did it again. It went within a couple ticks of our stop loss again. And then right back down. And this was like you can imagine the emotions a trader would go through if it's coming within a few ticks of their stop loss and then back down and then up and then back down and then up with a few ticks down. And then you've seen it. It was pretty crazy. And so what I did, this is exactly what happened, okay? So when we got, I don't think it wasn't this one. It was not this one. It was actually this one. I added 5 contracts. So I added 5 contracts. So what I did was I seen this pivot. So we had a pivot there, and we started to make this consolidation. And I was looking at a 5-minute. I see the 5-minute was better. So I added 5 more contracts. So I ended up getting short 10 right here on this reversal, looking for a move back down. So I added 5 contracts. So I ended up being 10 contracts short. at 21,620, or yeah, 621, 21,621. I was 10 contracts short here. Didn't move my stop loss. Stop loss is still the same. And, sure enough, we went down, faked out. Now with hindsight, you could say that this is a bullish flagging pattern. I was looking for a pullback, and then, it went up, stopped me out, and I was done for the day. And then we went right back down into where the 21s, and you can imagine it was choppy price action from there. But with the power of hindsight, yes, this looks very clear and clean now. A nice bullish flag, break out to the upside, run liquidity right back down to the bottom of this. And here we are. We're still consolidating, hovering around. And the price action has been rough, like messy. It's not extremely clean other than, like I said, buy the lows, buy the dip, sell the highs of the consolidation. Is that going to be more of what we're looking at, right? Buy the lows, sell the highs. Not sure. Very choppy. All-time highs have not been the best. And then the range that we've been seeing on the NASDAQ on the daily has been not extremely, it's definitely not going to be this price action. It's definitely not going to be the price action we've seen near the end of July and August. There's some crazy ranges, and we're not really seeing that here. It's just all-time highs. It's consistent. It's a consistent grind, and all-time highs, we're right here right now. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Watch the Nikkei. Yeah, I'm seeing the Nikkei right here, over here on the right. So let's get to some questions. Right before we ended class, we have about 12 more minutes left. And questions. Pure bones. I'm not sure what you mean, short life. Just bad price action, not moving a lot. There's no meat on the bone. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I should have scanned the barcode. Said no trading, no shorts, no trading for me. Find a place to buy. Will you be in fast? Yeah, I'm going to be in fast markets tomorrow morning. It's going to be a good one. Tomorrow is going to be a really good one. So if you guys stay tuned, if in the Twitterverse, in Twitter X, whatever you guys call it, social media, there's always stuff stirring. There's drama, there's good conversations, negative conversations, positive conversations, all that fun stuff. I've been active, NP's been active. There's a lot of stuff going on. So tomorrow is going to be a great one. I'm going to be on tomorrow. We'll see. Hopefully MP will join. I'm going to definitely have some questions for MP, and we're going to have some good conversation, some good constructive conversation. Trading comes first and foremost, and always. But good conversations. Yes, everyone knows my opinion. I've always been of that opinion. I do not like simfluencers. I don't know if that's a real word or not. I'm going to make that a real word, simfluencers. And all it is somebody, and this is where there's a lot of people that took my words incorrectly. So I have beef directly to people who say that they are the best traders. They say that they're the greatest. They say that they're good traders. And they are trying to direct new traders in the wrong direction, but they only trade in a simulated account, and that drives me nuts. And when somebody says they're good at trading but only trade in a simulated account, I have an issue with that, and I am really for helping traders. We have a lot of new traders in this industry. New traders are the futures, right? The future of futures, and I really want the futures industry to grow. I want prop firms to grow. I'm a firm believer of a rising tide raises all ships, not just Topstep. I don't mind. I want to see growth. I want to see traders get better in a sim environment, take payouts. I love that idea. I love that you could trade a sim environment, and the money you make in a sim environment, you could take a payout. I love that idea. I love that you could take a payout. I love that you can, take the profits from an XFA and put it into a live account. It's a beautiful thing. And then you could trade a live account, or you could just take the payout, open up your own personal brokerage account, and trade from there. I love that idea. It's the best. It's great. And that's what I want to see more of. But my issue is when you have firms out there that allows, self-proclaimed good traders, staying in simulated accounts, it can have a very negative effect. And that's what I do not want to see. I'm not going to direct it at anybody personally, because I will try and always stay away from personal attacks. Personal attacks are layman's, right? If you can't have a good conversation, good debate, or have logic, people tend to revert to personal attacks. They revert to foul language and negativity. And that's not what I want. That's not what we want. It's more about you versus you. It's how do we become better? How do we become better traders? And how do we grow? It's not staying in a sim environment. So there's a lot of good conversation to be had. I love that Topstep is pushing the live environment and limiting a lot of stuff, and there's still a bunch of new great things happening that I'm excited for. The conversations are interesting, to say the least, but yeah, as soon as things ever get negative, I just leave the conversation. There's no point, right? It's like arguing with a child who gets very mad and starts calling someone names. Well, why even engage? Just leave the conversation, move on to continuing, and grow, right? It's about self-growth. Yeah, the financial industry and the futures market is huge. There are levels to this. There really are. There's levels. It's a lot bigger than any individual. It's a lot bigger than any company. There's levels to the futures, and it's about to get better. How do you put a stop loss or a limit order in Topstep? So for a lot of questions when it comes to like how you put a stop loss or a limit order, take a look at this. If you go to the support on the left-hand side, there are some amazing Topstep 5-minute tutorials. And you can come through, take a look at all of these great tutorials. And Coach Robert is an amazing coach here, and he's went through and built a lot of these, almost all, I think all of these. And yeah, here it is. So Topstep 5-minute tutorials, and there you have it. Just because it's all paper that expires in due time, funded by short-term paper, they don't detonate themselves. Are you talking about currency versus crypto? I might be out of that. Maybe that conversation went over my head. How do you manage your emotions when you place a trade overnight? Teo, I think I'm saying that right. The way that I handle my emotions when I place a trade overnight is because whenever I have a trade overnight, let's say I'm long or short at any price, I always, before I go to sleep, have a stop loss, and I always make sure that when I go to bed, that stop loss is placed where I want about. And when I go to bed, I sleep, right? I'm not going to be worried about a trade when I'm sleeping. And I think a big part for that is you don't trade too big of size. You don't trade too big of size. You know your risk. If you're going to place a trade and say I'm risking $300, my stop loss is there and my risk is $300. When I wake up, I'm going to lose $300, worst case scenario, maybe add some slippage in there, especially if it's in a live environment, right? Live realistic trading. That's the worst case scenario, right? That's the same for a stop loss. Just like when you place any trade, it just depends on how long will that trade be and how fast that trade comes to a conclusion. How do you set a stop loss on a limit order? So if I'm going to place, I'm going to do this brief example, then I'll get back to some more questions. So if I want to place a stop loss on a limit order, so if I want to use a buy, so if I want to buy limit this at 627, how do I place a stop loss somewhere below? So over here in the settings, over here in the settings, there is a position risk and profit brackets. So if you want your risks to be like $420, then as soon as the trade triggers, your stop loss will be placed at $420. If you want your profit to be at $69, as soon as your order gets triggered, your take profit will be at $69. Make sure your automatic applies risk profit bracket. Now remember, your platform that you might be using will be different, can and would be different than this, but this is how you would use it. Now remember, there are some features. If you go over here into the support, there's planned improved bracket orders. So there's going to always be new improved features coming in and coming out. Looks like this is going to be one of them as well. Scott, those are my lucky numbers. Wish we could set it in ticks and points. I seen there's some requests in there, that will allow. I think it could be around this, and there's some good conversations, right? So take a look. Improved bracket orders going through. Look, see that? Someone says about yes, and also the option to calculate the bracket order with number of ticks, right? So this is what I love, is see how we're able to, as a community, to request a feature, have these conversations, and improve and provide these tools that will help us become better traders. What tools do you use for back testing? I don't back test as much as I do. I forward test. I'm a big believer in forward testing, and this is debatable. Okay, this is a good conversation to have as a trader. Do you back test? Like, do we go back and see how this strategy would have played back in the previous? I think there's a benefit for that. However, here's the one thing you can never back test. Here's one thing that you can never back test. You can never back test your emotions. And that's a fact. Yeah, I had this in there because we were having fun on stream. Forward test is the best thing that I will always do. Forward test is the best thing I've said. It's true. It's true, because you could back test a strategy all you want. I could give everybody here a strategy that works for me. However, you guys probably won't be able to make it successful. Maybe a small percentage. It's like, yeah, this strategy works for me. It might not work for you, because the one thing you can never test is your emotions. You can't test your emotions on a simulator. It's very, very hard. You can't back test your emotions, because like, say this event, right? If you're trading this event, you could visually see how it happened, but you can't simulate your emotions and how you would have felt trading this emotionally. And emotions is the majority of trading. I don't know. Maybe you do get emotion when you're back testing. That's just me. Like I said, there's traders who feel like back testing is the best and is greater. But I feel like there could be a good use of both, right? You could, Short Life Hack says back testing, then maybe sample tests, then get to forward testing, and then maybe even a live account. And there should be a good mix of both. There should not be one is the golden rule, right? Where back testing is the only way. I feel like you should do some back testing to see how the strategy plays, to even if it makes sense, then maybe do some forward testing in a sim account, then do some in like a combine and try and show consistency. But the ultimate and the true test on anything is going to be live trading. Live trading is always going to be the ultimate goal. Like, it doesn't matter how you cut it, how you look at it. Live trading, live environment is the only way to prove if that strategy works or if somebody can trade in a live markets. And that goes back to my fun rant on social media about the simfluencers who you just see them trading sim accounts. And they don't show you what's behind. Ask, right? Ask questions. That should be the thing. That should be what everybody asks, is ask all these questions. question everything. Don't believe anything. Don't believe screenshots. Don't believe it. Ask the questions like, oh, does this prop firm really take people live? And then it's like, well, do they have live accounts? Have I seen any live accounts with that prop firm? No, right? Maybe, yes, I don't know, right? So ask those questions. It's like, well, if this trader's so good, why does the prop firm have him in simulated accounts? And why are they allowing him in simulated accounts for so long? So those questions are the questions that that's what I've been thinking about this weekend. And those are questions that everybody should be asking, everybody, on people who they look up to and, hopefully look at as providing an education, right? So think about that stuff. I know I'm very passionate about it, and maybe I can let my emotions get to it as well. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. That's a good place for it. Question everybody. I will see people bright and early tomorrow morning. Take care and see you then.